will be different. The world will be in the same level as it's now. And what's the only difference is we're not going to be under any other authority of America, England, France, or whatever. We are going to be under the authority of Hashem and the authority of Mashiach. So the Rebbe has on this a few questions, and I'll be short. The Rebbe's question is that we know that it says many times that when Mashiach will come, all the trees, even the barren trees that don't give any fruit, will have fruit. All the wild animals, it's a pasuk, that there won't be any wild animals or terrible animals. Either they won't exist or they'll be calm. How could we learn that the world won't change? There will be a change in the world. So some people say it's really not a change, because before Adam Rishon sinned in the sin of Eitz Hadas, the old trees gave fruit, and there was no terrible animals. Everyone was tamed. So when Mashiach will come, the evil will leave, everything will go back. But the Rebbe says that it's hard to say, because it's not when the sin of Eitz Hadas, what Adam and Chava did, changed the world. They brought tumah to the world. So the world's nature changed. For 5,780 years, the world was in such a state. And now when Mashiach is going to come, it's going to change entirely. So how could the Rambam say nothing will change? And the 13th principle of Ani Mammon is Mashiach, is Chiyas HaMesim. Chiyas HaMesim is surely a change. So what means the Rambam that there won't be a change and the world will be in its a normal state as it's now? It's only that we're going to be under another authority. We're going to be under the authority of Mashiach, and the whole world will be led through Mashiach. So the Rebbe explains that when Mashiach is coming, there are two stages of Mashiach. There's the first stage. Like the Rambam said in the beginning, that Mashiach is here not to make miracles, to change the world, because we see that Rabbi Akiva held that Bar Kochba is Mashiach, and he didn't show any miracles. And then they realized that he's not. So the first stage is Mashiach is going to come, the world will stay in its normal state as it's now. There won't be any wars, there won't be any hunger, the world will act in the state as it's now and will be under the authority of Mashiach. But after the world will be elevated, because all our work, what we're going to do, then will be the second stage, where then there will be the world will change. There'll be miracles, all the trees will give fruit, the wild animals won't harm, they'll be tamed, there'll be Chiyas HaMesim. So that is the second stage when Mashiach will come. When the Rambam is speaking about the 12th, he's speaking when Mashiach comes in the beginning. When Mashiach comes, Mashiach doesn't have to make any miracles and the world won't change. It will be in the same pattern as now, but there will be calmness and so forth, and there won't be no hunger, no competition, and so forth. The Rebbe adds, it says, there's two ways how Mashiach is going to come. Either he's going to come on a donkey or in a cloud. Either pick your choice. So the Gemara says, if we merit, we'll come on a cloud. If we don't merit, then he's going to come on a donkey. So the Rebbe says like this, the Rambam is speaking how it has to be. That even if we don't merit, these things are going to happen, and Mashiach is going to bring back Torah and mitzvahs, and the world won't change. But if we merit, so then we can start already in the second stage. We don't have to begin with the first stage. That means the miracles will start right away, because there'll be zachul. And the Rebbe said that we went through so much of Golos and Yidden did Shuvah. We're all in the level of Zachul. So we're ready that Mashiach should come, and it'll be the second stage. There'll be right away Chiyas HaMesim, and there'll be all miracles right away. And this is also proof what the Rebbe says, that the Rambam writes in Igeres Chiyas HaMesim, that this is what he wrote, that there won't be a change, is because he didn't have a base to say that everything is going to change right away. But if someone can prove differently, he agrees with it. So even the Rambam says that there could be a chance that the world will change right away when Mashiach will come. And this is what the Rebbe said, that we're ready for it. We did everything. And Mashiach will come, and there will be right away Chiyas HaMesim, and everything will be in a much higher level. The second stage will start right away. And we'll all be zeicha that this Shivas of Thomas Shivas is toiv, good. The good of Thomas will be revealed. That will be a yontiv. We'll be together with the Rebbe in the third Beis Hamikdash.
Amen.
Zeicha to it, to see it tonight.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Rabbi Mendikun, please unmute yourself. Rabbi Mendikun, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rabbi Levi. And I want to dedicate this especially to the refuah shlema of Rachel Chaya Yafa Bas Victoria Miriam. Let's all daven for and say l'chaim. She should have a refuah shlema keva. Chaim l'bracha. A little bit of coffee. Last night, I spent a few hours compiling a short list of around 14 reasons in the Rebbe's teachings about the benefits that you have by learning Rambam. There's many more, and but it was a fascinating study. So here you go. I compiled them and put them on myrambam.com, so you can find it there. I'm gonna read you the short version. Here you go. Here are 14 great benefits to you and your whole family through learning Rambam. Please join us and study Rambam Mishnah Torah every day. Number one, the Rambam's Mishnah Torah is a miraculous work, and it brings miracles to you and your whole family, materially and spiritually. Number two, Jewish unity. We Jews really need more strength now, more than ever before. We are strongest when we unite through Torah, especially a study within Torah that unites all of Torah. We thereby have more Jewish unity, hence more strength when we study the Rambam. The Rambam is the complete knowledge of all the Torah laws. The Rambam's Mishnah Torah is the only work that includes all of the laws of the Torah and the entire oral law of Judaism. Number four, fulfilling all of Torah law through studying the laws. When we study Torah's laws, we are fulfilling the mitzvah in a certain dimension. So too, every time we study the Rambam's Mishnah Torah, which includes all the laws of the Torah, it is as if we have fulfilled all of these laws. Number five, studying Rambam brings clarity to your life. The Rambam is a guide for the perplexed, confused of all the generations, especially through his Mishnah Torah. By studying Rambam, we have clarity in life. Number six, studying Rambam brings optimal health and immunity, physical and spiritual. There's 83 chapters and sections of Code of Jewish Law in the Rambam, which is specifically to bring health and immunity. We shall have it now. Number seven, higher connections. The Rebbe made the daily Rambam study campaign a cornerstone in his leadership. When we study the Rambam, we connect to God, the giver of the Torah, to Maimonides, the author, and to the Rebbe, the founder of the Rambam study campaign. Number eight, we're fulfilling Maimonides' vision for his Mishnah Torah. This form of study is indeed the mission statement of the Rambam, a portable book that contains all the laws of the Torah for every single Jew, small or great in knowledge and years. Number nine, we hasten the coming of Mashiach now. When we study the Rambam Jewish law, that's the area of Torah that brings Mashiach in a very special way. Number 10, more Torah toil and hard work and labor in Torah equals less worldly hassle. We fulfill our mission of man was born to toil, especially Jewish people. We have a divine mandate to toil hard. Through our toil and working hard in Torah, we have punched the clock for our hard work, and our work in this world glides smoothly with divine intervention, especially since the Rambam's Mishnah Torah is clarification of Jewish law. Number 11, learning Rambam's Mishnah Torah brings lechatchila Rebbe, jumping over all the boundaries from the beginning. Great blessings to all of us. We connect mystically beyond that which we know. Now, the Rambam was a great Kabbalist, so when you study Maimonides, you're getting a lot more Kabbalah and mysticism inside, even more than we even know of. Number 13, we make a lot of great waves in this world, like we saw the video of the Rebbe, that when we're learning Rambam, the Rambam himself, his lips are actually moving, and that creates great, beautiful waves and blessings in the whole universe. Number 14, knowledge of God actually brings phenomenal miracles. It is this deep, deep knowledge of God that we bring about through studying Rambam that brings us great miracles. Please go to myrambam.com. You'll see this in a greater length and many more resources of learning Rambam. We want Mashiach now. Bracha v'atzlacha. Thank you very much. And I pass the mic to my dear Chaver, Rebbe Melech Gerevich.
Rabbi Melech. No, Rabbi Melech is nicht da. So Rabbi Mendy Cohen, please continue.
L'chaim, everybody, for this wonderful Siyum Rambam, ending the 39th cycle, beginning the 40th cycle. It's a very, very special time. And the Rebbe, when he began the Takone, like my dear friend Mendel Kunin did such a beautiful job in mentioning all the reasons the Rebbe said, the beauty of Rambam. So the Rebbe brought a famous medrash. The medrash says, Ein hagoliyos miskansos elo b'schus hamishnayos. Translated means, Mashiach will not come only in the merit of learning mishnayos. And it's explained that mishnayos means halachis psukos, halachis that are clear halachis. And the Rebbe says that Mashiach comes in the schus of the Rambam. It's a schus of learning Rambam because the Rambam wrote his book like the mishnayos, clear halachis. So when we're holding by the 40th cycle, it's just like the Jews were in the desert for 40 years. And after 40 years, Moshe said, now you understand what I meant. It says that after 40 years, you understand what your teacher meant. So therefore, this is a very auspicious thing connected with Mashiach. Especially we find ourselves in the fast day of Shiva Asar B'Tammuz, that we are told that when Mashiach will come, this will be a holiday, and it will be transformed in a holiday. So to have tonight the Siyum Rambam is the beginning of the promise of Mashiach when Shiva Asar B'Tammuz will be a holiday. Also to mention, it says that when Jews wanted to enter Israel, entering the promised land, so first there was the spies and things fell apart. So then the Jews realized we made such a terrible mistake. So they said, we're going to go. We're not going to let this fall through the cracks. And Moshe told them, you cannot go. You won't be successful because the Oren, the Ark, is not with you. The Aron Bris Hashem is down here. You can't go into Israel without the Ark. The Alter Rebbe explains in the Likutei Torah that what is this Ark? This Ark is the 613 mitzvahs. And the Rambam writes in the Hakdome, in his preface to the Rambam, he writes he's coming to explain the 613 mitzvahs. When you have the Rambam, you have the strength to go into the promised land to do your mission in life. And our mission is to bring about Mashiach. And in the schus of the Siyum Rambam, that more Jews should add to the Rebbe said they should make Siyumim. So you should make celebrations for finishing the Rambam so more Jews can start learning Rambam and hasten Mashiach. So l'chaim, and we should all have nisim in our lives. There's a story, I'll finish with a story with the Rebbe and Rabbi Reichik's father. Rabbi Reichik brought a couple to the Rebbe that couldn't have children. And the Rebbe told them, you should learn Rambam. And then a while later, 9 months, a year passed, and they had a child. So the Rabbi Reichik asked the Rebbe if he could publicize the story that learning Rambam was a catalyst for bringing about a nest of a child. So the Rebbe says, of course, the Rambam was a doctor. Anyway, so in schus of the learning Rambam, I know from all my friends in the field, they constantly see miracles through learning of the Rambam. That's the Aroim Bris Hashem. The Rebbe gave our generation something which the generations before that didn't have, who could learn the whole Torah. And the Rebbe made us, that we are the soldiers to bring about Mashiach. The Rebbe gave us the ammunition that each one of us, kakoton, kagodel, could learn the Rambam and bring about the greatest redemption. L'chaim, mazel tov. Back to you, Rabbi Kunin. L'chaim.
Amen, amen.
Amen. Rabbi Melech is back. So Rabbi Melech, please, we're coming back to you before we're going to go back to Rabbi Kunin to Rabbi Shochet for the Siyum. Go ahead.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Thank you, Rabbi Kunin. I want to say a few words. Number one, just let's start with a very basic point that we are starting the 40th time learning the Rambam. And even though it's not 40 years, but the concept of a 40 stands for Bina and Kaya Daita the Rebbe, which means basically that the level of learning from now on has to go much higher and greater and much deeper than the way we are up to this point. And a few points just to connect from a sikha from the Rebbe. By the way, the Rebbe, one of the Siyumim from the Rebbe, which is 3 pages in a sikha, from what's the date over there? It's Erev Pesach Tavshin Memvov. Anyway, the Rebbe speaks of it and connects it to Siyum Shas. And one point to take from there is that the Siyum Rambam, Kamayim Lo Machasim, stands the Mishnah Torah concept, means Torah Shebal Peh, after Torah Shebichtav. The Rebbe brings the whole connection with Shas and all of that, but just to take the point that the Elam, after learning the Rambam, getting to the point of Kamayim Lo Machasim, then you see, when you feel the Gilui, the concept of Dira B'Tachtenim, which is actually the concept of bringing Mashiach. And this is actually connecting us, obviously, to Shivos B'Tammuz, Tev, and all of that. But the Emir should get out from all of that and we should turn it into a Yom Tov, Emir Hashem. And especially, it's this year in Tavshin Pei. So the Shur Rambam brings what Rabbi Kinin, Mendel said before, the concept of unity, when Yidden learn together, and especially the Rambam, which is covering the entire Torah, so that brings a unity between everybody, the Ardas Bnei Yisrael, and it's a very important thing to talk to others, to learn also, and we are shluchim, with Balabatim to try, and by the way, have some shurim with them, and so forth, which, by the way, one of the reasons I want to connect it to the matzav where we are now with the whole Corona business, that one of the outcome of this is that it gives us the opportunity to learn one-on-one a lot more than the way it was before. Connection to everyone in a single level also. And back to the Rambam. So everything of Torah is in the Rambam, and from here, the Rebbe brings in that theme also the concept of from Mesha come to Mesha. So in our generation, the Mesha B'Doreinu is Pashtus B'Chol Davador. Our connection to the Rebbe with learning Rambam is so strong. And a Rebbe's Manenu is a very simple thing. I heard from some shluchim talking that the Matzav Harafui V'Chulu forced people who normally live as Democrats. The concept is that everyone has the rights V'Chulu V'Chulu. Suddenly government or the health department V'Chulu decided one way and everybody has to follow it. Quickly. In a way they lose their rights. Zoktem, it's very strong. Imagine the positive side when Mashiach had come in, that everybody is going to follow them. But then comes, if you talk to people, they'll ask you a question. If you give negative, people get rooted, they have to follow it. But if you give positive, it gives them the opening. They can go in every direction they want. Zog der Rambam, kamayim layom achasim. When you see the gilui of gilui v'tachtenim from Rebbeinu Shalom, kamayim layom achasim, the concept is just that as the meaning of it, the simple meaning of it is like when you look on the water, you look on the ocean, you see water, but you know it's a whole creation there. So when you're going to see Yiddishkeit, when you see the Rebbeinu Shalom, when you see Kamayim Lo Machasim, then you'll see that everything is from the Rebbeinu Shalom, and you'll see the Emes, b'meila, everyone will follow the Emes. So I want to say L'chaim, and I want to say that may Hashem help us, that all of this in Yonim should be poshet b'peil mamesh, and we should be together in Yom Tov tomorrow and tanzen with Mashiach. L'chaim, L'chaim.
Thank you, Rabbi Gurevich. It's now our Rosh Yeshiva. Our Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Ezra Shochat. Here on the West Coast and throughout the world is our Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Shochat, was. And we should be once and for all the end of the goals. The coming of Mashiach will be all together with our Rebbe, together with the Rambam, out of Golos immediately, Harav Shochet.
Okay. Supposed to finish, I was told I was supposed to finish the Rambam, the 39th cycle. And this is a special thing. Everything is Bashgacha Protis, and this comes out on Shiva Tammuz in the beginning of the 3 weeks.
Use my phone if you want.
What?
Interesting. Rabbi Shachar, please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself.
No. I'm unmuted.
Okay, good. Thank
You
you.
hear me?
Yes.
I'm supposed to make the Siyum, that's what's written. So it's a special schus that now the Siyum of Rambam, the 39th cycle, going into the 40th cycle, is happening in the beginning of the 3 weeks, which is a sign of, it says that these days, that these days, instead of being days of mourning, will transform into days of happiness and rejoicing. And the biggest rejoicing ain't simcha kesimcha shel Torah. There's no happiness like the happiness of Torah. And there's no happiness like the simcha by a gomer shel Torah when we finish. And what the Rambam over here calls that the entire Torah Shabbat Peh is in his sefer. So the gomer of the entire Torah Shabbat Peh is the ultimate simcha that could be. Let's hope that from this simcha we'll jump into this simcha of the Yahavchu Yomim Elul Sasna Simcha, that these days will become transformed to rejoicing and happiness. And the last halacha of the Rambam, where he speaks about Mashiach, the Rambam starts off in halacha dal, and it's Ava Chacham Banavim Yemaisa Mashiach. The wise and the prophets did not have a yearning for the days of Mashiach, not in order to rule over the entire world, not that we should oppress the heathens, and not that all the other nations should elevate them, and not to eat and to drink and to be happy, that we should be free, that we shouldn't have any, it should be free, our time should be free, our feelings should be free, to be totally involved in Torah and its wisdom. And they shouldn't have any oppressors or somebody that stops them from doing what their obligation is. So they should be able to go from level to level until the ultimate level, which is the life of the future. As we explained in Chuvah. And at that time, Mashiach will come. After Mashiach will come, there won't be any hunger, there won't be any war. There won't be any jealousy, there won't be any competition. Because whatever is good, real good, there will be a lot of it, there will be a big flow of it. So nobody will care about what's going on with the other person, because everybody will be totally overcome with what he has. The Chola Ma'adanim could offer, and all the luxuries will be found like dust. The reason why the Rambam compares it to dust is because the physical luxuries will not have any importance, just like dust doesn't have any importance. And but because everything is there, it has no special meaning. The entire world will be busy only with one thing, to get greater knowledge of God. Therefore, the Jewish people will be very, very wise, very great wise people. They'll know all hidden secrets of the entire creation, of the entire Torah, of knowledge of Hashem. They'll come to grasp the knowledge of their Creator as much as it's possible for a human being to grasp. That the entire earth will be filled with knowledge of God, like water that covers the oceans. And just like water that covers the oceans, it's not two separate entities. It's one entity. The ocean, the cavity that holds the water, and the water is one entity. So also we, with our knowledge of Hashem, won't be two separate entities. It will become one. We'll feel a total connection with God. Nishmachol Hilchas Malachim Achibur Kulei Baruch Shama Ba'Olam B'Prata U'Chlolei. We finished the laws of the kings. We finished the entire book of the Rambam, all 14 books. Blessed is the one that said, and through his saying, the whole world came into being in detail and in general. Okay, that's the end of the Rambam. I just want to add for somebody that still didn't start learning Rambam, that with God's help and with the arousement from God, they will be aroused now to go into the 40th cycle. That, by the way, the 40th cycle, the date of finishing the Rambam in the 40th cycle is Gimel Tammuz, which has a special meaning for us. And that at that time there'll be the Gimel Tammuz will be the yontiv that it's supposed to be, that the Rebbe initiated Gimel Tammuz as a great day of rejoicing for Chassidim. And right now we're in the time of Golus, we're in the time of Helen the Hester, so Gimel Tammuz lost a little bit of its luster. So when we make the 40th Siyum of the Rambam on Gimel Tammuz, hopefully by then, and long time before that, Mashiach will already have come, and Gimel Tammuz will also be again a day of rejoicing in totality, the ultimate day of rejoicing. So I just want to add something for those who didn't yet start learning Rambam. The Rambam starts off the first with the pasuk. It starts off. So the Rebbe, there's a whole sikha from the Rebbe that why does the Rambam start off with that pasuk? Because the Rambam writes that he wrote the entire Torah Sheba'al Peh, that a person doesn't need to learn anything else in order to know Alta Yad Mitzvah, to know the entire Torah. He just has to learn the Chumash and to learn the Rambam, and he knows everything. He doesn't need any other book. How could the Rambam write such a broad statement about himself? So the Rebbe explains that's why he starts off with that pasuk, that when somebody has the ability, somebody utilizes the ability that God gave him, he realizes it's not himself. Every ability only comes from God, and God gave him the ability to write this. So even though it looks like he's being haughty, that he is writing a book which includes the entire Torah, the halachas of the entire Torah, the Rambam says, I don't have to be embarrassed. That even when I look at all mitzvahs, I quote all mitzvahs, I don't have to be embarrassed. God gave me this mission, and I have to fulfill that mission. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu also had a mission to receive the Torah from God, and he went up to Mount Sinai to receive the Torah from God. And he was not embarrassed to do that because the Eibishter gave him that mission to do that. And so therefore, it's still Moshe Onav Mikol Adam Al Pnei Hadoma, because he realized that if somebody else he felt that if somebody else would have the same ability that he has, the same mission that he has, he would do it even better. The Rambam says that even though I'm writing seemingly like a hearty statement that I wrote the entire Torah Sheba'al Peh, you don't need any other books to know the entire Torah Sheba'al Peh, I'm not embarrassed to state the fact. But maybe there's also another point over here. I'll tell you from personal. When the Rebbe first came out with this takana of learning the Rambam, I thought to myself, the Rebbe probably does not mean that everybody should learn the entire Rambam within a year. Impossible. How could you do that? It's not so easy. And maybe the Rebbe means something like Chlukes HaShas, dividing up the entire Shas on Yutes Kislev. He means that we can divide it up, and then everybody will take a certain part of the Rambam, and everybody will take a certain part.
We heard you, we just didn't see you.
Okay. So the later sichos that the Rebbe said, it became very, very clear that the Rebbe wants every single person to learn the entire Rambam. And I was thinking to myself, how is that possible? How is it going to be? Which way? But the Rebbe asked, you must do. So I knew by myself, maybe I will not be able to find the strength. So I introduced in the yeshiva a shir in Rambam. And I made the Bochim sit in the shir. In the beginning, to learn 3 prokim, used to take an hour. The easier prokim took an hour and a half, an hour 3/4. Came to the harder prokim in Hilchos Shabbos, it took 2 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes. The we're growing impatient, but I made him. This is the takon of the Rebbe. We have to do it. But I can testify that the first year it was very, very hard. The second year became a little bit easier. The third year became even easier. And we began to understand, we began to get, it adds knowledge in basically all the subjects of the Torah and the in all the halachas of the Torah. And this is not the benefits that we gain by learning Rambam, as mentioned before already by a few people. I won't repeat them. I just want to mention one thing. We have to await Mashiach. It's not enough to believe that Mashiach will come. One of the halachas is that we have to wait Mashiach and thirst for his coming. How do we show our thirst? Yeah, we can say our imagination and we can think that I really want Mashiach to come. And is that really true? One of the ways of doing that is the definition of Mashiach, like mentioned before, is the ultimate perfection of the Jewish people together with Torah and mitzvahs. As the Rambam writes very clearly, that is the definition of Mashiach, that when Mashiach will come, then we'll have Shleimus HaTorah mitzvah through the Jewish people. Today, nowadays, we have just out of the 248 positive commandments, we have less than 80, 70 and some. Out of the 365 prohibitions, we have less than 200. Every mitzvah, the Rebbe writes in the Sichel, brings from the Smak, has two parts for it, lishmer v'lasid, action and to keep it in your heart. Lishmer means to keep it in your heart. The Avnezer writes that every mitzvah actually is based on the Gemara and Sot. It has four parts to it. Lilmoy, to learn, the Lami, to teach, Lishmer, also Lishmer, that you should know it well till you have it in your heart, and lastly. So if we really are awaiting Mashiach, and if we really want Mashiach, and we want to have this perfection of Torah mitzvahs, fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs, so here we have the opportunity to be connected with all the mitzvahs of the Torah by learning, by teaching, and by learning it by heart. See, even though the action we don't have, but by doing that, and doing whatever is possible in our hands to do, and although in the beginning it might seem like hard, don't put yourself down. Don't be embarrassed. If we have a mission to fulfill, that means that we have the abilities to fulfill. And even though it looks like hard, who am I to be able to say that I can learn the whole Parish of Alpin, I can learn the whole Rambam? There's nothing to be embarrassed about. And whatever is our opportunity to do, if we really are waiting Mashiach, we want Mashiach, we want the fulfillment of Torah, so whatever is in our capability of doing, and the Rebbe said that we have this capability, so we have to go ahead and do it. And one of the ways of doing it is by learning the Rambam from the beginning to the end. And we should all be matzliach and not say the Rambam. And I want to warn that sometimes, because it's especially those that learn 3 prokim, so it's a lot to learn every day. Sometimes it might take an hour, and sometimes it might take 2 hours and 3 hours. The Rebbe said that this is in addition to all the other shurim. We can't give up all our other learning. So sometimes it looks like a big yoke, and that's why the Rebbe also gave a possibility of learning 1 parak and doing this a 3-year cycle. But even that is also not so easy in the beginning. We have to know that we were given the opportunity, and we have to do whatever we can to bring Mashiach. One of the ways of bringing Mashiach is by thirsting for Mashiach. One of the ways of showing that I'm really thirsting for Mashiach is to do whatever is possible right now, that I should be able to come to that stage of the total fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs the way a Jew is supposed to fulfill. And don't put yourself down, don't make yourself small. Loy evesh, don't be embarrassed. You have the capability to look and fulfill and learn all the mitzvahs immediately. Maybe merit in the schools of the limud Rambam and the Achdus Yisrael that the limud Rambam brings about, that we should, which is the opposite of Sinus Yisrael, that is Mesakin, the reason for the Churban, that we should be zeicher to the bringing Beis Hamikdash, the coming of Mashiach. It
is now.
Amen.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our wonderful son-in-law, Harav David Shmukler, who heads the West Coast programs to produce Rabbonim. And he has Rabbonim and Shluchim all over the world. And David share with us the words about tonight's night.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Speaking about a takana of the Rebbe, was celebrating the culmination of learning the whole Rambam. Is a saying of the Baal Shem Tov. The Gemara says that in every day, a heavenly voice emanated and proclaimed that Kol Leilam Kulei Nizeim B'Shvil Chanina B'ni, that the whole world receives its sustenance in the merit of Chanina, my son. The Chanina B'ni Dayi B'Kav Charuv V'Mer Shabbos L'Er Shabbos. While my Chanina, my son, finds it sufficient to live on just one kav of carobs from one Erev Shabbos to the next Erev Shabbos. So the Baal Shem Tov says as follows: B'Shvil Chanina B'ni, in the merit, because of Chanina, my son, could also be read B'Shvil. A shvil is a pathway. The Chanina B'ni, Chanina, my son, is the pathway, the channel through which all the hashpos, the divine sustenance, physical, spiritual, come into the world. So when we're speaking about a takana of the Rebbe, it's through these takanas, all the hashpos, physical, the spiritual, all the brachas enter into the world. And especially when we're speaking about Torah. There's a fascinating explanation from the Alter Rebbe in L'Kutei Torah. The Alter Rebbe asks, here we make such a big deal or a big commotion about the miracle of splitting of the Yam Suf. We celebrate a holiday based on that. We have Shvisha Pesach. Seemingly, there's a Gemara that brings down a story, and it raises a possibility that that miracle was even greater than the splitting of the Yam Suf. The story in Gemara is in Gemara Cholim with Rav Pinchas ben Yair on his way to Pidyon Shavuyim, redeeming a captive, that he split the Ginai River. And the Gemara says it's possible that it was even a greater miracle than splitting of the Yam Suf. And that story, there's no big commotion. Not many know even about that story. And the Alter Rebbe explains as follows why. The story of Rav Pinchas ben Yair happened after Matan Torah. The story of Kriyas Yam Suf happened before Matan Torah. After Matan Torah, that you're going with the strength of Torah. Like the Alter Rebbe writes in Tanya, that through learning Torah, it's a yichud nifla and le'achadim yochadim mamish mikol tzadu pina, that a person comes one with Torah. It changes his perspective. He starts thinking the way of how the Eibush, how God thinks. And Torah's kadma leilam. Torah precedes and transcends all the limitations and confinement of this physical world. But that gives the ability to the person to uplift, to raise himself, and to transcend all the limitations. And therefore, he could perform any miracle, including splitting of the river. Not a big deal once you're going with the strength of Torah. Kriyas Yam Suf that happened before Matan Torah. Oh, that's a pella. That's a wonder. How did that happen before the giving of the Torah? And with this note, the Rebbe explains, we find at the end of the Rambam that we just concluding tonight, the Rambam writes that one of the main qualities of Melech HaMashiach is that he's hoige b'Torah, that he's diligent, he learns Torah. I mean, seemingly the main point is that he's Melech HaMashiach, he's a king. Why is hoige b'Torah, that he learns Torah, is one of the main qualities of Melech HaMashiach? So the Rebbe explains as follows, that with which strength that the Melech HaMashiach had to liberate the Jewish people is the Teach HaTorah. Torah by Mashiach, one with Torah, gives him the ability to transcend all the confinement and the limitations of the world. And therefore he's able to liberate the Yidden. And in Torah itself, there's many levels. So the Gemara in Megillah says that the halachas of Torah, what we're celebrating tonight, the halachas of Torah is Kisra Torah, is the crown of Torah. You have the brain, so to say, of Torah, the wisdom. But then you have the crown of Torah, that's the divine will of how a person should conduct himself practically. And in that you have a Shulchan Aruch, you have a Rambam. But the Shulchan Aruch only discusses the laws that are relevant nowadays. Through learning the Rambam discusses halacha, a person is tefis. He becomes one. The divine will in every halacha, in every case. You hear Ratzin through that we're celebrating tonight. The culmination of celebrating 3 chapters, or 1 chapter, the Sefer Mitzvahs of learning the Rambam. We should make an end to this golus, that these 3 weeks to be transformed. You may sustain the simcha, the gula mitzvahs.
Amen.
Amen.
Rebbe Gordon. L'chaim.
Reb David, thank you very much. Yasher Kayach. L'chaim to Rabbi Kunin, to all of my colleagues that have spoken before me and that will speak after me as well. L'chaim, l'chaim. My colleagues have mentioned that by learning Rambam brings nisim v'niflois, miracles and wonders to every single person. I think tonight we have a big miracle in itself when we're talking about starting the 40th cycle of the Rambam, where myself and my colleagues before me and my colleagues after me have been given a 3-minute maximum that we can speak. And we're all rabbis. To speak for 3 minutes as a rabbi, only 3 minutes, is a miracle in itself, l'chaim, l'chaim. But
Amen.
my father of blessed memory, Rabbi Yeshua ben Yamin Gordon, has the entire Chitas and Rambam online. And there are thousands and thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, tens of thousands of people that learn with him every single day. Chitas, Chumash, and Rashi of the day, Tanya, the way it's split up to the entire year, and Rambam as well, Perek Echad, 1 chapter of Rambam every day. So my suggestion to each and every person here, as these people that I'm mentioning are not only the lay leaders and the balabatim, but also fellow shluchim who learn with my father every single day, and how much it actually encourages them. And I hear it personally, and my mother hears it personally, so sein gesund, and my siblings hear it personally, of the stories of these tens of thousands of people that literally learn with my father, even though my father physically is not with us anymore. And it's so easy these days. There's an app on the phone, daily classes with Rabbi Gordon. Whether you have an Android phone or an iPhone, it doesn't matter. Every single person can get the app and we can learn Chumash with Rashi, Tanya, as well as Rambam. So to start off on this coming Friday, the 40th cycle of Rambam with Perek Echad, if you want, with my father, or if you're doing 3 prakim, even better, or even if you can't do that, Sefer HaMitzvahs as well. But we must learn the Rebbe's takanas. We must learn what the Rebbe tells us, how Chitas and Rambam can actually make a difference in our lives and bring us nisim v'niflois, miracles and wonders. And I want to share a personal story about my father's Rambam classes. When my bubby, Rebbetzin Miriam Gordon, towards the later years of her life, she was living with my uncle and aunt in New Orleans, Louisiana, Bluma and Zelig Rifkin, and she was living in their house. And one time it was Sukkot, and my bubby really wanted to go into the sukkah to eat something. It was Chol HaMoed, I believe, and it was pouring rain outside. So my bubby turns to her caretaker, and she says to her, "Take me outside. I want to go to the sukkah." So the caretaker, of course, not a Yid at all, not a Jew, turns to my bubby, to my grandmother, and says, "Why do you want to go outside?" So my bubby says, "Because I want to eat something." So the caretaker turns to her and says, "You don't need to go outside." So my bubby says, "How come? I want to go to the sukkah." So she says, "You don't need to go into the sukkah." My bubby says, "How come?" She says, "Because it says in your Torah that you're a woman, and B, it's raining outside, and as a woman, you don't need to go into the sukkah, you could eat in the house." So my bubby turns to the caretaker and says, "How do you know this?" So the caretaker turns to my bubby and says, "You learn every single day the Rambam with Rabbi Gordon. And we heard it just the other day, that the law says a woman doesn't need to go in the sukkah. So the Rambam says this, and you learn it with Rabbi Gordon, you could also follow those laws. This is a beautiful personal story that even a non-Jewish caretaker of my bubby realized how important it is, one halacha of Rambam. So Mirza Hashem, through all of the takonis of the Rebbe that we do, to all of the will of the Rebbe that we fulfill every single day, Chitas and Rambam and all the other mivtzayim that we go and we make sure that we and our colleagues and our employees and our employers do, may we be zeicha, may we merit the ultimate simcha of all, the vias Mashiach tzidkenu, as the Rambam concludes it with, umala haaretz deyas Hashem kamayim layam mechasim. The world will be filled with the knowledge of God like the water covers the seabed. Just like right now, you look at the ocean, you look at the sea, and all you see is water. There's a full world under the sea that we don't see, that we don't literally see with our own eyes. And Mirza Hashem, God willing, when Mashiach comes, we'll be able to see that every part of the world is really filled with godliness, and every single part of the world is a part of God. And may we truly merit to see this with our own two eyes as we'll all together go into the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. And tonight and tomorrow, Asar B'Tammuz, we will not have to fast. It will be a day of joy and jubilation for the Jewish people. May it happen right now. And let us all say Amen.
Amen.
Fellow colleague, my leader,
Amen.
shares a few words with us. L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim, everyone. L'chaim. Can everyone hear me?
L'chaim, l'chaim.
First, I want to thank all of those people who organized this beautiful Siyum, and shekayach to all of you and to all those people who are listening, hearing such beautiful Divrei Torah and Divrei Hisarus to inspire us to learn the Rambam and to learn all of the Rebbe's Torah as well. We all know that in the spring of Tafshin Mem Daled, 1984, the Rebbe came out with the campaign that we should all add to our learning, our daily learning, the learning of Rambam, whether it's Sefer Mitzvahs or Perek Aleph or 3 Parakim of the Mishnah Torah each day. And for many of us, it was a tircha. It was a difficult thing for us to do. It was hard enough to find the time to learn all the other things we were learning, chitas, and those of you who were learning Gemara every day, and on and on and on. But nevertheless, we took it upon ourselves to do it. The question is why? Why? What was so special about the Rambam that the Rebbe wanted all of us to really get on board and to do this? The answer really is that the Rambam, the Mishnah Torah, was actually the first Shulchan Aruch. If we think about it, the Shulchan Aruch of Rabbi Yosef Karo was written some 300 years later. And the Rambam was the first time that somebody took all the halachas of the entire Torah from the Gemara and the Mishnah and every place and codified them and organized them according to subject, so that if a Jew wants to learn how to live as a Jew, obviously we need to know what is all about, how to do it. And therefore, the Rambam was the perfect way, the perfect vehicle for us to be able to do that. As we were told that by learning the Rambam from beginning to end, you will know everything you need to know about how to live as a Jew. We know that the Rebbe emphasized throughout his life the importance of education, of chinuch. Wherever Chabad houses open up, we start schools, preschools, high schools, whatever it may be, we learn. We have classes going on all over the world that people can come to and enroll now through Zoom. People can come to classes. The Rebbe always emphasized very much the idea of education. And in order to, why did he do education? Because in order to learn how to act as a Jew, you need to know what? You need to know how to do it. And before the Rambam, if a person wanted to learn halacha, they wanted to learn how to act, how to keep Shabbos or how to keep kosher, or all of these various things, how to act as in a daily life, prayer and all of these things. They had to search through the Mishnah and the Gemara and the books of the Gainim and all over the place. And this is very, very difficult to do because there are disagreements throughout them. And we know there's a basic rule that you don't paskin a shaila you don't paskin a halacha based on the Gemara. You don't do that. It's very complex and it's very confusing and very difficult to do. For the first time in history, somebody came along, the Rambam, and codified it and put it together in a category. And he made it in a way that it was easy to understand. It was in simple language. The Rambam wrote the Mishnah Torah actually in Arabic, which is the common language of the common Jews who lived during that time where he lived in Egypt and throughout that area of the world. And it was written in Hebrew letters, but nevertheless, it was written in a way that the average person could easily understand it. Interestingly, the Rambam did not put any footnotes at all in the Mishnah Torah. And many scholars question that. Why didn't he put footnotes? Because footnotes allow you to study and to analyze and to look around and to see the source of the various halachas. But he didn't put footnotes because of brevity. He wanted to keep it simple and short and easy so that people can understand. It was not just written for the scholars. It was written for the common folk, for everybody to see it, to look and to understand it, and to know how to live. That was really the essence of what it was all about. And when the Rebbe came out with this campaign about the Rambam, the Rebbe understood, as many of my colleagues earlier said, that sometimes 3 prakim a day for average people, working people, might be a little difficult. So the Rebbe said, okay, no problem. Do 1 parak a day. 1 parak is difficult for you. Maybe you're not at that level. Do Sefer Mitzvahs. Do that. In fact, in my shul, every day, we learn Sefer Mitzvahs between Mincha Maariv. Because whatever is a person's able to do, this is what they should do, whatever is in their ability. Our sages tell us that today, in our day and age, the Shekhinah, God's divine presence, dwells only within the Daled Amos of Halacha Bilvad, only within the 4 cubits of Halacha. So in order to know what to do, and in order to keep those halachas, we obviously need to know what they are. And therefore the Rambam comes along to do that. It was the Rebbe's intention very much for all of us to live life as a committed Jew and as an observant Jew, to fulfill the mitzvahs. And the amazing thing about the Rambam, as some of my colleagues said earlier, is that not only did he talk about halachas maisius, practical laws that are applicable today in our day and age, but even those halachas that are not applicable today, the laws dealing with Mashiach, the laws dealing with tithing, and with the with karbanos, and with the Beis HaMikdash itself. Many of us have a custom. In fact, the Rebbe urged all of us to learn every day the halachas of the Rambam of the Beis HaBechira, dealing with the Beis HaMikdash. And we would urge that people should take upon themselves every day, in addition to all of those things that we are learning every day, to learn each day the halachas dealing with the Beis HaBechira as well. There are, Baruch Hashem, many beautiful English commentaries and translations of the Rambam throughout. It's our custom here in San Diego to learn each day a few halachas of the Rambam's Beis HaBechira between Mincha Maariv each day. So we will be prepared better to be able to welcome Mashiach when he comes. We'll know what to do. We'll know all about the karbanos, and we'll know how to give meiser properly, and trumas and meiseris, and all of those things that are going to be necessary for us to do when Mashiach comes. May it happen speedily in our day. May we all be able to be prepared in the right way to greet Mashiach Tzidkenu together with the Rebbe at the lead of this all. And through that, God willing, it should happen even before the end of Shivas Arba Tammuz, that way before Tisha B'Av, that we should be able to celebrate it b'simcha, b'tuv levav. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim. A big schus to be able to take part in the Siyum Harambam. There's a story I once told over of the big chassid, Reb Mendel Futterfass. He was once sitting down together with his grandson, and as they were sitting, a chassid, apparently there was a farbrengen, a chassidic gathering of a lot of chassidim sitting together, telling over different concepts, different stories. And one of them comes over to him and tells him, "Did you hear, Reb Mendel, did you hear of the story that was told over?" He said, "Please tell me." And the chassid told over this amazing story. He finishes the story. Reb Mendel gives such an amazing, like, wow, what a story. A short time passed, and another chassid comes and says, "Reb Mendel, did you hear the story that was told over by the farbrengen?" said, please tell me. And the chassid told over the same story that was just told over. He finishes the story, and Reb Mendel says, wow, what a story. And the same thing happened the third time. After happening a few times, his grandson asked him, Zaidi, I don't understand. This is like your third time hearing the story, fourth time hearing the story. What are you so amazed about? So he told him, you think the first time was my first time hearing the story? It was also not my first time. But every time you hear a story, you have to hear it with a new chayas, with a new vitality, as if you're hearing it the first time. So we're finishing the Rambam, like mentioned, we're now the 40th cycle. Some of us are learning it for the first time, some of us a few years, 5 years, 10 years, some many more. I think it's a nice thing to think about we're starting in a new cycle, not just to read over many times. We could say, oh, I remember that from last year, and we can just take it as the same stuff we're just doing over and over many times. But maybe taking this lesson, we can take each part of the Rambam as every time we start a new cycle with a new vitality. So there's a new vitality in actually learning every time the specific halachis, trying to take it as a new way of learning it. And then there is taking a general chayas, a general vitality in the general concept of learning. So I was going to mention a few of the great advantages that are accomplished through learning the Rambam in order to give that inspiration. And when learning Rambam with a new cycle, but Baruch Hashem was already mentioned, not just a few, but it seems like we're covered all of them. But going along with the theme of trying not to even something that can be repetitive, to try to find a novelty, I just want to make it shortly, in a short way, expound on one of the concepts about what it says about the Rambam. It was a year Tafshinun Beis in 1992, and the Parsha Shemois was the time of the Rambam's Yortzeit. And the Rebbe spoke about what it says in Parsha Shemois. In the beginning, it mentions about the Yidden coming into Mitzrayim, and it says that from the beginning it mentions the names of the Yidden, of the Jewish people. It says it's mentioned regarding the Geula, regarding the redemption. And the question right away is they're entering Egypt, they're not leaving Egypt. How could this be connected to the Geula, to leaving to the redemption, to leaving Mitzrayim? And over there, the Rebbe explains at length how the whole purpose of going into Mitzrayim is not just to wait for leaving, but bringing the Geula into Mitzrayim. And over there, the Rebbe says that exactly was the concept of the Rambam. The concept of the Rambam was bringing Geula into the darkest moments. Firstly, in his name, like was mentioned earlier, the Rambam has the abbreviations of Revois Moifsai Beretz Mitzrayim, increasing miracles, which is godly revelations, even in a place of Mitzrayim, which that is the concept of redemption, bringing Geula even a place of darkness. As well as we know, the Rebbe mentions that the Rambam lived in Mitzrayim, and over there is where he wrote the Rambam. So this is one of the great things that we do accomplish by learning Rambam, is that which is resembled by his name, which is resembled by what he did, by bringing light of Geula, of Mashiach, especially through learning the concepts of Mashiach, which are at the end of the halachas of the Sefer of the Rambam, which the Rebbe said that in general, learning Rambam brings Mashiach, but even more particularly when learning these halachas, because in that way we can bring the light of Mashiach and anticipation and living with Mashiach already now in these last moments of Galus. And with that, we were able to help us not just in a spiritual way, but in a physical way, like mentioned earlier, to guide us in the most difficult, challenging moments. The light of the Rambam guides us the way. So l'chaim, may we zeiche to all these hachlatis and everything us gathering together to be zeiche to start this new cycle already in the Geula Amitis Vashlema, the whole new vitality, Terach Hadasha, l'chaim. L'chaim Zaidi and l'chaim Alakunin, Rabbi Kunin.
First, I want to say we have to see a great shliach, and a night like tonight, with such chayit, got the temple. My name, I will never Mr. in 3 years Russia, under the most difficult conditions, not miss Rambam. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce to you, to start the Rambam now, a new
I told you he started.
40-year cycle. Rav Schusterman, Rav Yosef Schusterman, who is in the Schusterman.
Schusterman starting. I want to see him.
Let's see. Am I unmuted?
Yes,
No,
we
you're
hear
not.
you.
Okay. Anyway, the hour is late. So the beginning of the Rambam, the introduction as Le'evesh Babita Komet Tzisach, what Rabbi Shochet mentioned, is the introduction to the introduction of the Rambam. The actual sefer of the Rambam in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah begins. You say this, V'amud HaChochmas, the foundation of all foundations, the pillar of all wisdom, is Leida Sheyesha Matzu Rishon. It's for a person to know that there is a existence, a primary existence. Umamsi kol nimtza, and he brings into existence everything that exists. V'chol nimtzoim mishamayim va'aretz, and everything which is found in the heaven and earth. Umasha b'neim, and in between heaven and earth. Ve'nimtzu ela ma'amita simotze, is only found from the truth of Hashem's existence. Simply, the Rambam is saying that the fundamental aspect of Yiddishkeit is to realize there's Hashem, who is the emes of truth, the real truth, and is the source of every existence that exists in the world. And the commentaries point out, and the Rebbe pointed this out many times, that the Rambam begins a sefer with the concept of understanding, knowing that there's a God, and the Rambam ends the entire book, as which you mentioned today, with the concept of Mashiach, Umala ha'aretz deya es Hashem. The beginning, you say this, the foundations of all foundations, and the pillar of wisdom is an acronym for Yud Kei Vav Kei. You say this, Va'amud HaChochmas is brought down from many of the commentaries. The Rambam began the sefer with the letters of an acronym of Yud Kei Vav Kei. But the Rebbe explains that at the beginning, the Rambam only brings it down in hiding. Why? Because the beginning of the Aveda of the person, the beginning of the work and Aveda of serving of Hashem that a person does, he's not yet in the level of revelation of godliness. When you start with basic fundamental emunah, and then you keep and learn all the halachas of Rambam, which, as mentioned before, represents the entire Torah. The Rambam is the only codifier that discusses every part of Torah, whether it's relevant today or not. The Rambam is the only codifier, and that's why the Rebbe asked and begged that people should learn Rambam, because it unites all Jews with all parts of Torah. But the Rambam starts off with you say this, the foundation of all foundations, V'amud HaChochmas, and the pillar of all wisdoms. The Rebbe explains that what's the difference between the foundation and a pillar? A foundation is hidden in the ground. The foundation of the building is not noticeable. The foundation of the building is buried deeply in the ground. What is a pillar? Amud HaChochmas, the pillar of all wisdoms. A pillar is something which connects the ceiling to the floor, but it's visible. You can see that there's a pillar there. And the Rebbe explained that the Rambam here is telling us two approaches of what a person has to do to learn Yiddishkeit, to learn Torah. Initially, you need to have this. What is the foundation which is buried within every single Yid? That refers to the level of Emunah, belief in Hashem. Before a person could begin learning and beginning understanding, in order that the understanding should not go off, and a person should not mix his own understanding into the way that they're learning, that can, God forbid, cause terrible misunderstandings in Torah. So the Rambam starts off by saying, you say this. the foundations of all foundations, meaning you need to have emunah, which is the foundation buried deep within every single Jew. And then you're able to come Amud HaChochmah, the pillar of all wisdom, of all understanding. You need to begin with emunah. Before a person begins learning Torah, they make the bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem, Noisein HaTorah, that it's God's wisdom. And if it's God's wisdom, we have to understand that it's basically impossible to understand anything of Hashem's wisdom. The only reason why we do is because Hashem allows us to. So then, when you have that fundamental foundation, the Amunah in Hashem, then you're able to come to Amud HaChochmas, the pillar of all wisdoms, which is visible, the understanding and learning of Chochmah, the wisdom and understanding of Torah. And Rebbe says, but what level of Yiddishkeit are we connecting to? Leida sheyesha motzu rishon, to know that there is a God who created everything else that exists in the world. Meaning, we are not only connecting ourselves to the infinite, unlimited, essential level of Hashem, but we're connecting ourselves, Leida, to understand that Hashem is connected to the world. And why is it important for us to understand that Hashem is connected to the world? The Rebbe explains, because when a person realizes Hashem is connected to the world, then we understand and realize that my mitzvahs Hashem cares about. If we're talking about a level of Hashem which is completely removed from the world, a person can come along and say he doesn't care about me, has nothing to do with the world anyway. The Rambam says no. The Yesed is Amud HaChochmas, the foundation of Emunah, and the Yesed HaChochmah, the pillar of all wisdom, is later to understand that God, Hashem, is involved in the world. And therefore, when we do a mitzvah, we are connecting ourselves to Hashem, because Hashem cares about each one of us, what we're doing. You can elaborate a lot on this, but I just want to mention this late. The point over here is like this. Rambam, the study of Rambam is very unique for our generations. Chitas was from the previous Rebbe. The Rebbe himself in our generation instituted Rambam. It wasn't in the Alter Rebbe's time, in the Mittler Rebbe's time. It wasn't. It was the Rebbe's intuition and Rebbe's initiating the learning of Rambam. So therefore, when we learn Rambam, this is a direct connection to the Rebbe. Whether it's 3 prakim a day, 1 parak a day, Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rebbe says, the Rambam wrote in his introduction, I'm writing the book Kakot and Kagodl, for the lowest understanding Jew, for the greatest level Jew. The Rebbe said, learning Rambam, Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rebbe says, even for people that don't know how to learn, women who are not necessarily Torah knowledgeable, little children, they learn Sefer HaMitzvahs. And yet, as we go up, learning 3 prakim a day, and Rabbi Shachat said 3 prakim a day could take many hours. It's true. It could take many hours to learn it properly and to understand it in the depth of the Rambam. But we have to understand that when we learn Rambam, this is our direct connection to the Rebbe. And this was a personal request, Bakosha Nafshis, that the Rebbe asked because he wants to unite all the Jews with all parts of Torah and every type of Jew. So as mentioned before, as we're starting the 40th year, the 40th cycle, so we have to realize that the Rebbe wants us to learn Rambam. The Rebbe dedicated a lot of time to Rambam, many, many siches. There's already svarim printed on the Rebbe's explanation of Rambam. We're starting the 40th year, Ben Arboim Labina, as was mentioned before. It's incumbent upon everybody, men, women, and children, to learn at least a little bit of Rambam a day. 3 chapters if you're able to, 1 chapter you're able to, Sefer HaMitzvahs if you're able to, or not everybody's able to do that. And through this, we'll connect ourselves to the Rebbe. And by starting in the Avodah of the Rambam, we'll come very soon to the conclusion of the Rambam, which speaks about the coming of Mashiach, will be Umala Haaretz Deus Hashem, The whole world will understand the open level of godliness. Kamayim liyam machasim. It should happen tonight already, as everybody wished, and we should be able to celebrate as a simcha and a yom tiv Shavuos b'Tammuz and Tisha B'av, together with the Rebbe and the Beis Hamikdash, l'chaim l'chaim.
Amen. For your wonderful words of encouragement to all of those that are participating in this Siyum Harambam. We talk about connection to our Rebbe, his Kashrus connection. I sit here after such a beautiful Siyum Harambam that we have just now concluded, and we started the Rambam again. And I say, 40 cycles. Aboim, 40 cycles. So many years. Adayin lo nashonu. And we are still sitting in this bitter exile that we find ourselves in. It's our privilege and our duty as the Dor Hashvi Hazeh, as the Rebbe teaches us. We are the 7th generation. The generation which is the end of exile, the beginning of Geula. It is our privilege and our responsibility in this generation not to allow a moment to pass by without pushing Hashem, the Almighty God, and say, Hashem, Hashem, you are suffering with us in the exile. Imay anochi b'tzara. You are suffering with us in our suffering spiritually, and our suffering with this horrific plague that's ongoing around us. That shows how small the human being is and how Hashem runs the world. So we say, Hashem, hold it. What's going on? Look, Hashem, the world is crying out to you, Almighty God. Where is the time of the fulfillment of the words of the Rambam? Hashem, where's the fulfillment of the Rebbe's words? I was listening to a sikha today, where the Rebbe talks on today's day and says, we're getting into Shavuos b'Tammuz. We can eat tonight. We can celebrate tonight. It doesn't start till the morning. Pushing Hashem every moment. Please, let's just make it end. With all the emunah, simcha b'tochen, with our great strength of this generation, with our great leadership, who you've heard from tonight, with our great emunah of generations and generations of shluchim, with all the power of simcha, emunah b'tochen that we have. Hashem, Hashem, it's time to make it all end. It should be Umala ha'aretz, there as Hashem, kamayim la'yom mechasim. Open our eyes. We're going to see we're together with our Rebbe on the steps of 770. Gemati Beis Mashiach. Flying out of this exile, away from all the suffering, together with our Rebbe again. In Yerushalayim HaKodesh, the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. Yeah, and it's going to be so simple. We're going to be together with our Rebbe, and you're going to see Moshe Rabbeinu and the Rambam, all of us together, Fabrengen, in the Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. Yaravi Galenu, and the day of Shavuos b'Tammuz. Now, as it comes in, we're in the nighttime already, should be a day of celebration. Out of the Golos, take it from me, Ad Mamish. Why don't you watch the videos of the Rebbe that will be playing now as we finish this evening.
welche Meret ist auch nicht Chas wie Scholem genommen von sich allein, was er als Ares genommen von Sforim und von Medroshe Chazal und von Maimori Rabbeseine Nisiyenu, wie es bekam von Seid, der Dover Gole und nicht angewiesen, der Mokker und was ist das geworden, der Schino, Adavke Beshone Machi Acharene ist, wenn sie da nur etwas heißt war, das redet mich gleich wegen der Minie von Ketzu Gejubel. Was mir gewählt sich ist war, das Beshone Marishenes und Beshone von der Besenen Nisenu, Schlifnisse. Fleckt mir mit Mann, der Monnen in Jonen Mäbel. Aber nicht machen der Funke Nicke, und befragt noch, am Isret befähigt in die Swadus, klappt mir nicht, hat die mein Mori, und mir sehen magisch, was de Gula Hamitis war schlimm, verbunden mit jeder Riedenle, mit Gottel, wie hat Kotten, und beloschen Rambam, ka Kotten, ka Gottel. Mit dem Sag Dino Rambam, auf Diburechot, auf Meisterachas, Diburechot, Machshovachas, im Achriya, Asmi, Bekolo, Hebam, Kule, Mevi, Yeshuv, Atzol. Und das ist auch Miusad, wie angewiesen im Beforscher Harambam, auf Amamir in Gemorre in Kedushin, auf der ich sehe, wie es auch gebracht, ihn auch gedruckt, wenn man auch gedruckt, den Rambam in einer Neffen mit Fußom, dann auch das auch gebracht geworden im Beforscher Harambam, bekam er Schalus, und deswegen gefindt man nicht auch gut, in Zmanim, Achim, Miuchodim, Mikemis, Miuchodim, und so halten in den Iberchasen, und dem Maimer hat, und der Gemorre in Geduschen, die auch gebracht auf Psak Haloch in Rambam, und wir gefindt es auch viele nicht, in Isvadus, von Rabbeseine Nisiyenu, Achus, in Zmanim, Miuchodim, und nicht bis Kufa, Achiacharene, in die Schonim Schelifnisse. Die Gemorre bis man hat gesagt, bei Kol Akitze, wenn er da war, Tolle Bitschu. Danach gewähnt die Meforscher Gemorre, Rashi und Tesvis und Poske, nach Reinim, Recha, Reinim, Bechul. Und hat Misman gelernt, hat dem Ingen in Gemorre, und dem Ingen in Rambam, und dem Ingen in Posken, bis nach Reinim. So haben wir gewähnt Misman. Noch gekommen ist sie der Rehn und gemacht eine ganze Stunde von Lealter Lichuve, Lealter Ligiule. Und hat es gemacht, kommen bedient mit der Stunde. Und hat es geheißen, Notdrücken, geheißen, Mefi sein und gab der Fall die Schwierigkeiten, was man den Mann gemacht, ich will nicht sagen, kein schwereren Wort. Sie gewähren eine Sachmeere von machen Schwierigkeiten. Und nachfolgend ist er dann noch angegangen, der Winter hat die Gesten abdrücken, gedeiht soll bleiben, aber soll das lernen, la deis haboi machen. Aber das ist gedruckt und sie da ist, und aber dem ist da, was nehmen von Polizei und noch einmal durchlehnen. Alkohol noch mehr, und dann nicht wie übergassen. Und Bichlala, Divri Tzadiki, mit dem Banetzach, dem Baad, Allah es kam, bekam in das Amen in Niki. Und was hat das geheißen, ausdrücken? Und was noch mehr ist gerechnet, der angedrückte Kett. Bekommen kam ein Pommes, die in Jönem Abbilden, ist mir nicht mäßig, weil Beneder gemacht hat Stühle, als da ein Kett von den Mautenreben, danach da ein Kett von den Storen, wie er auch gebracht, a Sefer Megada Hakel, Kissen Megada Megillis, was a Sefer, in welchem er zusammengeblieben Kissen von Rapsadiger und dann noch da Kess von dem Rambam. Bis der Kess kommt, le Achrise, bis der Kess von dem Alten. Dann noch ist mir nicht mäßig Level, ist dann noch der Kess, was auch gedruckt in die Sichis, was man diese auch gedruckt. Und Friede, das gewähnt Bixav, aber ich in Kopie. Nerve in Kopie, a Kess von dem Leben nicht mehr sehen. Samachwo, wie kann ich sie mehr sehen? Die Duber Musker kamen vor mir. Bis wann ist sie gewähnt bei Jomena Kess, was sie gedruckt in Akriv, Akdusche, zusammen mit Tavshin Gimel, Tavshin Dalet, Bechule, Kemutzvashon. Ist Nesaf auf Kola Kissen, bis man Agmore, sagt man sich, als sie nicht stande geworden. Und der Rebbe nicht mehr sehen, dass das Gerät war verbringen. Und dann Topf ist Amachow und da noch ist das geblieben, mehr nicht. Bei die, was von sich mit Stadt gewesen in dem Verbringen, oder gehabt die Kopie von der Siche, dann noch hat nur getreten wegen der 10 Jahre. Bis wann ist sie gekommen, das Mann von der Sidereno, nur gegen den Struren von lauter Ligula, lauter Lichuba, und hat das geheißen, befehlisch abdrucken und befassen sein. Und kaum der hat Gosche beschaß mit Druck das Opfer zusammen damit in der zweite Sicher. Mit die gewesen, hat Tzemach Tzedek hat gesagt, Aini von Fuß, ist das Aini Ledelis. Gleich mit Rames gewesen, hat das Meinten noch Leachre Chaim Chayose Balmadei. Steht das mit dem ganzen Teike. Bei mir wird sich noch stürender die Scheilat Moser. Und gefragt hat, das wird sich wegen der Käse von der Siderene. Und sind jenen Käse schon durchgegangen, 10 Jahre. Und geht zurück, wo ich da fort etwas ein Bio, das war der einzige Bio, was ich gefunden habe, Israel, das ein Scheich ist, von Hanossi, Hu Hakeil. Darf das Sibir gehen zu Hakeil, darf das Sibir geben zu jeder Rieden bifne Yatzme. Schaße gewähren an Nossi, Hu Hakeil und alle seien dann gewähren übergegeben für Chulu, hat nicht gekonnt damit Jäze sein. Und Nachfall Pekin hat das nicht herausgebracht, den Befehl. Befall beschaße geworden, die Rides Adelis. Achscher Dore Bitmi. Und zusammen damit ist aber geworden, nennte zu dem Mieter und zu dem Achischeno, weil Mewai Baruch in Scheire Ehl in Sof und Drusche Purim, ist auch dämmelt geworden, noch mehr der Hechlich, aber man muss ihn drauf tun. Nur wenn der mir sagt, habe ich Chance, wegen drauf, besser soll nicht tun. Muss man mit Fassem sein, bei Jesser Reis und bei Jesser Reis. Als jeder soll wissen, als durch sein 91 Meister und der sein 91 Divu, und da sein 91 Machschove, soll wissen sein, dass es rettet wegen Jikwis in dem Mashiach. Und in der Ruf Gufi Jikwis in dem Mashiach. Und nun der Ruf Gufi dort der Psag Din, von Levi Yishuv Azolle Beilom, und der Pfui noch zugekommen. Hat damals hat gekonnt, jetzt sein, mit dem Business, Sidereno, gefragt, er hat es gegeben, Marquez. Die Frau beschaßt hat aber gesehen, der Kerz von Dämmel ist nachher durchgegangen, Assyris, Baschonim, ist ein Dover Bohrer, die einzige Sache, was mir darf Maschlim sein, jeder soll wissen, dass es sein, ihnen a Proti, auf Mikaim sein, oder die Aloch in Rambam, mit mir hat man kein Brille nicht, muss man halten in den Tummeln in dem. Aber man soll wissen sein wegen Keizim, und man soll wissen sein wegen Jemesa Mashiach, und man soll wissen sein, da alle Proten, was und man soll wissen sein, der Rieker, was nicht, da jene, was steht, mehr nicht ins Vorhin. Das meint man und das meint man nie, und das meint man Anoschen, Venoschen, Betach, Bejemechon, alle zusammen, Kol Godel. Was zusammen der Mies kommt tegen der Sturen von Sei Schäfer mit in der Nähe, was es darf geiste, der Beetle von der Nähe, der Fall bei seiner Nähe ist nicht Bottle geworden, bekam er schon. Wie bald aber mir sagt, wie es mich jetzt keine verbunden mit der Schiene Matzebrevel. Und mir sagt, der Rebe mich nicht stande geworden. Wafel Pekinley Bo. In das Gufi der ich hoche, a Yisrael, das a Jinien von Kohl, Lechet und Jachas. Wenn wir lassen, klemmen sich etliche Jiden zusammen, laufen sie der Monne, der Herzog ein Nieden. Jetzt müssen sie noch 91 Meister, jeder von euch. Allahs bekamen 3 zusammen, Wird das hat der Linie, was kann sein, das hat gemeint, der Macke, das ist der Macke bepatisch, das Macke bepatisch, auf die Haloche, ist es eine regige Memory. Was auch der sehe, sehr bei einer Linie Rom. Das ist ein dober Boller von der ganzen Sugi in Seite. Das versteht Kolo Kitze, wenn dober Tolle alle Bitschuwe. Wo Tschuwe ist in Jona, kein Scheite Chode, Rige Chode. Und bei jedem Chode ist das Easter nicht aufhören abzulegen. Und wo mich in alles durchgegangen, befragt der Reino sehr, was lebt auch ein paar Mal im Zorro, und befragt, wenn geht zu dem Cheshach, aber man darf sich dingen, und man darf reden und einreden, aber man darf der Monne Mashiach und nicht nur der Monne Bepi, nur der Monne und Trachten wegen Mashiach. Befragt noch, jeder Linie darf man sich verbinden mit Teile, dort die Gemara, du, Mashiach, behesse Chadas, bedug mi va Metzie, Gimel in Yoni, was behesse Chadas, und wenn ich mir sehe, was so sie David Davdi, Mashiach Sitkenu, mir der Scheiße Gott verkehrt, am Torga nicht werden wegen Mashiach. Hat das nicht jeder eine gewusst, und hat geißen drücken wegen lauter Litschuwe, und hat geißen das drücken, mit Duber, gedeiht mir soll in der Ruf sagen, mis Anje sein und mis Beine sein. Und Rob bringen Bepe, bei einer Gehle meiste Bepe. Was das ist, der Hesber bepasst das Alhomur Lihil. Und der Hesber rechet, aber man meint ja nicht, der reden wegen der Linie, reden wegen der zweiten Linie. Man meint, das soll sein, der Meister Hua Yiker. Der Meister Yiker, der Gula Amitis war schlimm, alle die Mashiach Sitkenu, was wie der Psagdi, was ist der Zetmen. Als ist er, dass die Zeit allemal, die das genannt hat, der nicht ist. Ob mir sagt, ist er, als ist er, das Mann Muchscher und als Mann Achi Achre, aber soll das durchführen Bepeil. Und am Tatentag, wir wissen nicht genug, welche Meister, welche Gibel oder welche Machschowe, es am Ton ein Meister und ein zweiter Meister, wir kamen Meister, ich zum Malen möchten, nur sind wir kein Mitzvahs am Melech Malkische Leber. Und zum Malen möchten, heute Chalke Bilam Azen, Chalke Bilam Abze, Bilam Abo, bis Mitzvah Loschen, Tafse Vichibur, mit Asmus im Hus Halei. Und dann noch hat rechnet, hat der Minion, als Sof Kolsov, wird dann der Rebestern mit Sake sein, und wird auch gefunden, oder dem Prat, oder die Meister, oder der Dibber, oder die Machschowe, und wird er raufbringen, neben Nevi, Yeshua, Zolla, Lei, Uleilam, Betashtus, Gula Hamitis, Vashleim, Alidei, Mashiach, Sitkenu, Chai.